Krishna prastaya bhutale Srimati Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa iti namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna prastaya bhutale Srimati Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa iti namine Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaurabhakta Jaya Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana 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 Jaya Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribol, good morning everyone. So let's continue the study programs that is connected with the teachings of Parampara, or the disciplic succession, the descending method that is coming from God, that will help us be situated in a world that is not changed, not touched by time, to enter a world that is ongoing, that has been manifested since time immemorial and eternally going on. This is the science, the activities about loving service to the Supreme Person. I'll read again as a reminder for us how we can check, how we can see if we're making progress towards the goal, and how we have, all of us, we have applied the process, and then we can see if we are making progress through the lives example of the devotees, the loving servant of God, who comes here to assist us, to embrace us, to give us this wisdom, this transcendental wisdom that will guide us, that will connect our lives, our hearts, be anchored upon what is absolute, what is our natural transcendental situation with transcendental wisdom and experience, the experience of the spirit soul, the marginal potency, who is eternally the loving servant of God. Text 3 from the teaching of Rupa Goswami. There are 6 principles favorable for execution, pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to the regulative principles such as Sarvanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Lord Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following the footsteps of previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assures the complete success of pure devotional service. In the teachings of Scripture, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, written by the Vaishnavas, his followers, it's stated there, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person, the all-attractive Supreme Person, who has inconceivable energies, who is beyond our senses. Through His mercy, He arranges it that we come in contact with His confidential friend, His representative, the personality that will guide us to direct our love, which is inseparable from us, and now have been covered, have been misdirected upon this temporary world, and in our struggle, it gives us this load that tramples us, because we have now become so engrossed. We identify with the body, we identify with the senses, and we in our attempt to find happiness, tries to follow, not tries, by force, follows the dictates of the mind and the desire, and it tramples us. We lose foresight. We lose clarity of our true nature. So by the mercy of Lord Krishna, He sends His representative, the spiritual master, who can guide us. This was exemplified by Lord Chaitanya, how one can come to the point of being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence. The living entity asks, we're so minute. We can become covered by material nature. As what we can experience now, this body, which is under the laws of material nature. The 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, influence, direct our lives. To become free from this, there is a process that the devotee of God is bringing within. That's why when we read scriptures, it is always stated, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. He is so blessed, and He gives us that blessing. And what is that blessing? He touches our heart. And how does He touches our heart? To long for what we're really longing, and that is our eternal loving service, our eternal activities. Those activities that we want to experience real happiness, but now obscured by this contamination. So the spiritual master educates us. He gives us guidance. Meaning, love for God is achievable and exemplified by someone who's none other than the Supreme Person guiding us. So when Lord Chaitanya was here 500 years ago in this planet, he is the perfect example of someone who is guided by the disciplic succession, who is so enthusiastic, who has full confidence and faith to follow the instruction of his spiritual master. In the line of disciplic succession, coming from Jagad Guru Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, up to Lord Chaitanya, Isvara Puri, the dearmost disciple of Madhavendra Puri. The spiritual master of Isvara Puri, whenever, every day he goes out to clean his body and vacate, he's wondering, how come? Whenever he goes back there, it's very, very clean. Because the disciple is Varapuri. He engages in activity that nobody knows. He just carry on to assist his spiritual master. And this enthusiasm to carry on is a sign of someone who is always in meditation to please his spiritual master, the representative of God. When His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, was asked by his spiritual master to translate the Vedic wisdom, which is coming from Lord Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of God, and use the English medium to communicate to the Western world about this science wherein a person can be connected with that love, with God's compassion. Endeavoring with confidence. When Lord Chaitanya approached his spiritual master and asked his spiritual master for instruction, how he can please his Gurudev, his Varapuri told him, because you're less intelligent, you're not qualified. Simply chant the Mahamantra. To make the story short, he simply followed the instruction of his spiritual master. He is in this world during that time manifesting what is humility, that will please his spiritual master. He simply followed the instruction. He chanted the Maha Mantra. Then, when he came back, he told his spiritual master, "My dear Gurudev, what is this mantra that you have given me?" And he said, "Whenever I chant this Maha Mantra you have given me, as if I have become mud. Tears are gliding from my eyes. I shiver, my hairs are standing. As if I don't know what's happening. What is this mantra?" And his spiritual master, his Bharapuri, is very pleased and happy that his disciple simply followed the instruction verbatim and did it. He engaged in uttering, in chanting, in using his lips to chant this mantra. Our system is very safe. We have scriptures, the teachings of the Supreme Person, written by the Supreme Person himself, the literary incarnation of God, Lord Vyasadeva. We have the saintly person, the confidential, loving servant of God, to pass on this science purely to us, verbatim. And the Supreme Person, our eternal companion, who is the Paramatma, and that Paramatma whom we should be listening and be guided, is now communicating to us from the outside, the bona fide spiritual master. In the beginning, he guides us, tells us, verbatim, through oral reception, through listening, the science of God. Then we make progress. We are able to see ourselves, to see our position, to be established in this loving devotional service. In the beginning, it's through practice. But after a while, it becomes one's life to do what is pleasing to the Supreme Person in humility and humbleness. He becomes very grateful and thankful that although he have discarded, he have turned his face upon the person who cares and loves him so much, who is always with him, thinking of him, the unconditional, eternal friend of the living entity, the Supreme Person, now manifests externally as the confidential friend, the ambassador of God, so we can know about the Supreme Person. We can experience that love and compassion through his guidance. So when one undergoes and apply this process, the fruits will be there. That's why it's very important to make absolutely the right choice. And what is the choice? It is the guidance from God himself. This transcendental science of loving devotional service must be heard, orally received through a bona fide spiritual master who is non-different from the Supreme Person, as what Lord Krsna, the Supreme all-attractive person, the cause of all causes, as stated in all scriptures, as followed and accepted by all great authorities, And those authorities are transcendental personalities who are residents of the spiritual world. Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, and exemplified by Lord Chaitanya, who is non-different from the Supreme Person, coming here to teach us, the perfect teacher, the Supreme Person, giving us example how we can achieve the goal. We're always longing for what? This longing that we want is the happiness, the fulfillment of one's affection for the Supreme Person. But in ignorance, it's obscured. We have been distracted. We have become negligent. We don't have taste anymore. We have become lazy to taste what will give us real happiness. Because under the contamination of material nature, we're not attracted to what is sweet. Because the mind now has become our Gurudev, has become our master. By trying to play, to act as Lord, to do our own will, to be to play the role of God. Not only that, we think we are the supreme controller. We are not able to enter that world. So here, this science is explicitly, in clarity, being explained by Rupa Goswami, exemplified by all the great Vaishnavas, the pure confidential associate of the Supreme Person, that yes, this love can be directed. Love of God is achievable. You know, in the Philippines, when I was in grade school, my body was young. I was listening to the story. There's the story of the monkey and the turtle. One day, there's this banana tree, and it's heavy laden with fruit. And then there are two of them. So when they got the tree, the monkey chose half of that. It's the fruit and the trunk. But the turtle chose the tuber. And what is that? It is what will grow to propagate this banana tree. But because the monkey saw the fruit, he's thinking, I'll get half of it. And then what did he do? He planted that trunk. It did not grow because it's cut off from the source where it should, which in reality where it came from, the tuber. The turtle planted that, and banana shoots came out and produced banana fruits. So we are advised to find a bona fide spiritual master. And that bona fide spiritual master can guide us to taste what we are always anxious. Just like Lord Chaitanya, He is giving us this simple instruction. And what is the process? It is the beginning and end itself. The chanting of the Maha Mantra will be the process and will be the end itself. Meaning, when we chant, we will achieve what Lord Chaitanya is longing, wanting to experience, the transcendental love of God, which all his confidential associates are offering, surrendering, relating to him in love. And being the supreme enjoyer, he wants to taste that. He longs for that. So he comes in meditation, in chanting the holy names, tasting this loving separation with the Supreme Person. So when a person comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, he's given instruction. As what we have discussed, the plant of bhakti is planted in his heart. And through the watering, through the chanting of the holy names, as what this instruction of Rupa Goswami, so that plant will grow, will be nurtured. Acting according to the regulative principles such as Sarvanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. Abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assures the complete success of pure devotional service. My spiritual master has this prayer. His prayer is connected with a longing, a desire, an intent just to be engaged in the loving service of the Supreme Person. So as followers of our Gurudev, we must long for that. It's beyond bhakti and mukti. Bhakti, material enjoyment, which has covered us, which drives us, the lust that burns us. And after a while, we want to get out of this experience. Then, we want liberation, freedom from this encumberment, freedom from these shackles that have tied us. Not only that, it's like a knot, a hangman's knot that has squeezed our throat that we cannot breathe anymore. We're not grasping air anymore. And we want to become free. We want to experience life, the air. Then when it's given, the air, but the nature of the living entity is active. And without this guidance, we will become like the pendulum. Tang, tang, you know the pendulum, the clock, tang, tang. Bhakti, material enjoyment, suffering, and when we're choked to death, we want air. It's given to us, liberation. Bhakti, mukti, bhakti, mukti. We must become free from these witches, 2 witches of allurement. And it comes from focusing our love, our heart, to do what is pleasing to God. To be very brave. Just like when we see those brave individuals, they hold the line. They don't run and hide. They make a stand for the person they love. And in this world, my Gurudev gave an example of a mother's love. When a child falls down in a river and drowning, the mother without hesitation dives and tries to save the child without considering
her own welfare, that she might drown. She's simply focusing upon saving that child that she loves. In the spiritual angle, it's also like that. The lives of the confidential friend of Lord Krishna should be the focus of our study program, because they are the perfect example to emulate, to follow the great Vaishnavas. Just like when Lord Chaitanya followed the simple instruction of his spiritual master, who is the dearmost disciple of Madhavendra Puri. He succeeded to show us it is achievable. Love of God is achievable. It can be achieved if we simply follow this process that is being given to us, the descending method of the holy names, Sarvanam Kirtanam, coming from the lips of the pure devotee. So I gave that example of the monkey and the turtle. Why did the banana not grow? So if we follow someone who has no love for God, posing as the representative of God, trying to save us, how can a drowning man save another drowning person? How can a person who is blind lead another blind? How can a person who has no love, you cannot give what you don't have. So if a person whose love has not been directed in purity, in his natural activities on a transcendental level, he or that person cannot really give us what we're longing for. So we're advised to search out a bona fide spiritual master so we can taste what we're longing. And it comes with a process of oral reception, hearing. We listen to the representative of God, and then our hearts is touched. Our desire now is to please this loving servant of God. And the Supreme Person sees that, because that person whom we are following, he's his dearmost friend, his confidential friend. We are now invited to enter that world of loving service. So when a person comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, the confidential friend of God, it's like akin to the sun. The sun is not yet rising on the horizon, but it is already clear. So simply by the presence of the spiritual master, chanting the holy name, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, chanting the glories of God, we now glide to that world, just like the rivers, the water from the rivers and rivulets goes naturally down to the ocean. So that will be how we can gauge if we're making progress. When our heart, our whole focus is now wanting to taste that loving service. And it is achievable under the guidance of the representative, the confidential friend of Lord Krishna. So we stop here. We'll just continue our study program and discuss more about the glories of the Supreme Person so we can be guided in our future study program. Thank you very much. Let's chant. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadha Shri Basadi Gaur Bhakta Vridam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Done.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namaste. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namaste. Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate. Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. 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 Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala 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 Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.